Hello, this is Pastor Jim Kibler. I want to answer a question for you today. How much should I tithe? The tithe is 10%. The tithe is actually the first 10% of everything that you bring in. The first 10%. God considers the first 10% to belong to Him. Malachi chapter 3 verse 9, it says, "Will a man rob God? How have you robbed God? In tithes and offerings." God considers it robbery if you keep the first 10%. He doesn't want the middle 10%. He doesn't want the last 10%. He wants the first 10%. The first 10% of all your income belongs to God. Now, the way Mary and I tithe is on Monday morning, we count up everything that has come into our family and into our ministry all during the last week. We count every penny of it. We keep track of every penny. Then we write out a check we make out a bank deposit, and then before the bank deposit's ever taken to the bank, we make out a check for exactly 10%. That is made before one penny of that money is spent. 10%. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 9 and 10 says, "Bring the first fruits of all your increase, and God will fill your barns." Honor the Lord with the first fruits of all your increase. When you bring the first 10% to God, you honor God. And when you don't, you dishonor God. God wants the first 10%. Now, He doesn't need the money, but that belongs to Him. In Leviticus, it tells us that the tithe is holy to the Lord. But here's the deal. When you bring the first 10% to God, He blesses the other 90%. Your 90% will go a lot further than your 100% if you did not bring it to the Lord. Now, people say to me all the time, "Well, Pastor Jim, I can't afford to tithe." Yes, you can. You can't afford not to. Do you want your money to be cursed? I'm telling you, that's the fastest way in the world for God to remove the blessing from your finances. God will not bless your money and your finances and your job and your income unless you tithe. Period. He just won't. Because if He did, He'd be going against His word. In the garden, actually after the Garden of Eden, with Cain and Abel, Cain brought some of his crop to the Lord, but Abel brought the firstlings. He brought the first part of it. God wants the first part. I tell people this: if you're waiting until after you pay your bills to see what's left before you bring an offering or a tithe to God, you might as well keep your money, because He doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. He only wants the first. God only wants the best. You honor God with the best, and when you do that, He will give you His best. I've written a book called The Blessing. It's at Amazon. It tells you how to get connected to the blessing. The tithe actually connects us to the blessing. You cannot expect to receive the blessing from God unless you're a tither. You just can't. But I'll tell you what, where the minute you release the first tithe, you can go to God and demand that He open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that there is not room enough to contain. You don't have to tithe for a certain amount of time before God's supposed to bless you. No, He will bless you the minute you begin to tithe. Jacob made a vow to tithe, and he wound up as a billionaire. Get this book, The Blessing. Learn how to get the curses out of your life and get the blessing of God into your life. This book will help you quickly get the blessing of God into your life. It's called The Blessing. It's available at Amazon. Also, go to our site, increasenow.com. Learn about the goodness of God. God wants to bless you. Everything on that website is free. It's all sponsored by our partners. Our partners sponsor that website, increasenow.com. And go to Amazon and get this book, The Blessing. And remember, when you bring the tithe to the Lord, you honor the Lord, and He is obligated to bless you.